Welcome to Overwatch. This time we're going to be going over the esports events, well, the event, the one we've been waiting for absolutely ages. Gamescom came and went this weekend and brought with it Overwatch's first major LAN event, bringing talent from across the globe to come and fight for their chunk of a $100,000 prize pool. 2 days of in-depth Overwatch action left us with, well, some pretty surprising results. But let's set the foundation. Going into this event, EnvyUs were the undisputed kings of Overwatch, the top dogs, the head honchos. Any match they entered, they were pipped as the favourites by anyone in the know. It just wasn't really up for debate. EnvyUs was better than you. But this is a LAN, and shit gets weird at LAN. Things change, people react differently. Once LAN becomes standard for major events, expect the scene to shift somewhat dramatically. It's not uncommon to have teams that choke out entirely once they hit LAN events or start making silly mistakes. It's all up in the air. From Europe we had the 4 top level teams, although DIGNITAS, previously Creation Esports, had been on a bit of a losing streak once the event started, and MISFITS were looking increasingly strong going into it. Reunited and Rogue, one stable and thorough, the other really aggressive and unpredictable in their playstyle, could place just about anywhere. Except for that number 1 spot, surely that belonged to Envy, they just had to walk in and take it. And so day 1 opened with Group A, MISFITS going up against Fnatic, a series that was difficult to call. MISFITS had been performing well, but since forming into the Fnatic team, they had been going from strength to strength. The result was a strong performance on Kings Row and Dorado coming from Fnatic, but they struggled to claim a single point on Nepal against the European team. A 2-1 result, not entirely unexpected, Fnatic pushed forward. Dignitas, however, continued to struggle. Drawing Envy in their first match, they got rolled on Kings Row before struggling to perform at all on Lijiang Tower, a disappointing first performance for that team. But it's Envy, who can blame them? Envy's been rolling just about everyone. Envy continued on, moving on to blast through Fnatic in a good time on the now staple maps of Dorado and Kings Row, while MISFITS removed Dignitas from the tournament. A final series between Fnatic and MISFITS was all that separated the teams from advancing into the playoffs, MISFITS with a second shot at taking down Fnatic. In a hard-fought series, MISFITS opened up with a relatively clean win on Gibraltar, sending a fast pace through the map to beat Fnatic's time by 30 seconds, before Fnatic again demonstrated skill on Dorado, finishing a whole minute faster. Everything came down to a series on Nepal, where Cormat Zarya went off over and over and over again, pushing Fnatic to a 2-1 win over MISFITS. Envy and Fnatic pushing through to the playoffs, while Dignitas and MISFITS fall early. In Group B, everything was basically to play for. Eyes were mostly on the performance of the 2 European teams of Reunited and Rogue against Cloud9, as well as seeing how Wildcard Complexity, formerly known as TSM, played. What happened, well, was pretty damn surprising for all of us. Reunited opened Group B with a solid 2-0 of Complexity in an utterly devastating performance that looked really bad for the American team, while Rogue managed to scoop a 2-1 win against group favourite Cloud9, sending them to go face American rival team in the losers bracket. This is actually kind of dangerous for Cloud9. While they're usually the favourites against Complexity, they've dropped maps and series to this team in the past, and they did so here, losing 2-1 to Complexity, getting rolled on Dorado and Watch Point Gibraltar. In a shocking turn, Cloud9 were the first to get knocked out from Group B. Fighting for the top of the group, Reunited went up against Rogue in a very close fought series, finishing on a tiebreaker after a draw on Hanamura, ending up with a best of 3 on EnvyUs, and so-called sushi chef Kib demonstrating the lethal proficiency he's known for. As a LAN first timer, this performance was fantastic to see out of him. Sent to face Complexity, everyone was curious to see if Complexity could become giant killers. Unfortunately, Rogue proved just too much, resulting in a 2-0 win for the European side, and both European teams of Rogue and Reunited advancing to the semi-finals. Unfortunately, advancing second in the group meant that they were going up against EnvyUs in the semi-finals. Oh well, they did really well. Wait, what? In a shocking turn, Rogue repeatedly pulled EnvyUs to control point maps and consistently won out, while losing on the now standard maps of Kings Row and Dorado. Europe had adopted the 2 control point maps much faster and were using that in their map picks, but when pulled to map 5, Envy's pick, they went to Lijiang Tower. Things looked bad pretty quickly. Envy went up 2-1, entering match point after a clean 100% to 0% win on the night market. And then Rogue hit their stride, combos landing, TviQ and AKM springing to life, and Rogue's aggressive style not really letting Envy find their footing and coordination that they used to. TviQ was devastating on his own, while Winz and AKM landed the graviton bomb combos over and over and over, just getting huge value every single time. EnvyUs' win streak on the line, tournament on the line, 2-2 on Lijiang Tower, and back onto the map they got 100%ed on. And Rogue turned on. AKM brought out McCree after running Tracer all map long, and EnvyUs whiffed combo after combo, while every player for Rogue was cleaning up and dealing huge amounts of damage. uNKOE and Nox were finding cleanups over and over and over, while TviQ was just running riot. Anytime Envy even gained an inch, it cost time, it cost ultimates, and Rogue were always one step ahead and in control of the match. It was a fantastic series, and Rogue pushed through, taking out EnvyUs. The Giants were dead, slain by a wily Rogue. In the other semi, Reunited again demonstrated the European trick, opening up on Temple of Anubis with a clean win before dropping a match to Fnatic on their stomping ground of Dorado. Things looked smooth after that, EnvyUs again moving into Reunited's favour before getting a clean win on Hollywood to eliminate Fnatic, meaning we had a Reunited versus a Rogue final. What came next was a solid performance from both teams. I remain incredibly impressed with Reunited's supports, who not only contribute large amounts of damage while doing their jobs, but also seem to be able to play around and against some of the best carry and assassin players in the game. That being said, Winz in particular has been performing exceptionally alongside AKM and TviQ, two of the best carries in the game. 4 close maps later, Rogue managed to push King's Row to a victory, beating Reunited's time by a solid 3 minutes. So, in the standings, Rogue finished first, Reunited second, Fnatic and Envy taking third and fourth, while Complexity and Misfits 5th and 6th, Cloud9 and Dignitas 7th and 8th. Good luck predicting that result. But, well, what do we learn at the end of this? We learned that Reunited and Rogue seem to have taken a liking to dragging people to Hanamura and Temple of Anubis. Temple of Anubis is honestly a map I seriously enjoy watching. Hanamura, well, let's leave that for another time. Reunited remain kings of Ilios, not dropping a match on the map. They played it 3 times over this weekend, 2 best of 5s and 1 best of 3 in a tiebreaker, and went 8-1 in rounds on it. We learn that TviQ is a hell of a Mei player. Seriously, I usually say that Mei can't do much damage, but he hit right clicks like no one's business. Guy was doing work on Hanamura with her. And we learned that, well, the expected truth. Predictions from online tournaments go out of the window when you hit LAN. Cloud9 dropping early to Complexity was a huge shock and a solid performance from them, while Fnatic looked solid until pulled out of their comfort zone on Dorado. Standout performances, Kiv's my first mention. No LAN experience, but he played like he was entirely unfazed. Excellent job from him. There used to be a joke that Reunited was carried basically on Valitage's back, but the two of them honestly form one of the strongest DPS lineups in the world. That said, I want to see Kiv's performance outside of the Genji meta. I'm curious to see how he works when Genji is less viable. TviQ also showed why he's revered as one of the best carry players in the world, frequently getting huge value on Genji and a large part of their win versus Envy. But the real medals for that victory go to Winz and AKM. AKM was working wonderfully with both TviQ and Winz, mopping up kills and landing vital graviton bomb combos that pushed them to victory. If I had to recommend one series to watch, by the way, go watch EnvyUs vs Rogue. It was a nail-biter, and the David Goliath series are always entertaining. Massive congratulations to Rogue, and well played by Reunited as well. We learned that EU, well, they remain the dominant Overwatch continent, right? Because EnvyUs are basically a European team too. Here's hoping that that trend continues. Toodles.